to a brand new episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! This is a podcast based on a blog of the same name because we're not an urban legend like some ghostwriter dude. We're real! Nice to meet you. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening in or checking out the blog at couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com as you're about to find some common ground or something you like. For at Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and the unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU! Hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays, and as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panelists and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the blog or the podcast via iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and via Google Play to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows, including, but not limited to, Doctor Who, Downton Abbey, How to Get Away with Murder, Broadchurch, New Girl, Game of Thrones, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, American Horror Story, and The X-Files. More episodes are in the works, including revisits for The Vampire Diaries, Gotham, Supernatural, Once Upon a Time, and the DCTU panel covering the DC shows on the CW, new panels covering the 100, Grimm, and Stranger Things, new series examining Gilmore Girls, including the Gilmore Girls reboot A Year in the Life, and Sherlock, and because we also look back at shows now past, we'll be looking back at That 70s Show, Gallivant, and Glee. What's more, CPU! From time to time goes live! We've appeared at Comedy Outlet Mondays, at Dog Story Theater, and at Grand Rapids Comic-Con in Grand Rapids, Michigan, while streaming live on Facebook. More live appearances are being planned, so make sure you like us at our Facebook page, our Twitter, follow us at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, and or our Pinterest at CPU Podcast, or subscribe to the blog, our YouTube channel, our iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Play. In the meantime, if you don't hear your show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews and we're always seeking new panelists, so if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any one of those outlets aforementioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback. Be gentle though, we are actual humans around here with actual human feelings as compared to inhumans, though they have human feelings too. Today we're around the water cooler and discussing the first half of Season 4 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which airs September through May Tuesdays on ABC. The fourth season premiered on September 20th, 2016. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a serial television drama created for ABC by Joss and Jed Whedon as well as Marissa Tangerowen, based upon the Marvel comic and cinematic universe. S.H.I.E.L.D., or the Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division, is a fictional peacekeeping and spy agency in a world of superheroes and aliens. The agency's mission is to monitor and collect rogue supernatural subjects, forces, and people, and to control them. The show is set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, sharing continuity with the films and other television series of the franchise. The series revolves around the character of Phil Coulson, with Clark Gregg reprising his role from the film series, and his team of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents who must deal with various unusual cases and enemies. The series also stars Ming-Na Wen, Chloe Bennett, Ian DeCastecker, and Elizabeth Henstridge, with Henry Simmons and now John Hannah joining in this season. For a more detailed plot summary, listen to prior podcast episodes about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or check out our other S.H.I.E.L.D. entries on the blog. If you didn't already know, you can click the floating box at the top right of the header, the picture with the TV watcher, and search for any blog entry or prior podcast episode. It's a very futuristic way to go. For now, our esteemed group of S.H.I.E.L.D. panelists, namely Kristen and Jen, are back around the water cooler ready to discuss the first half of Season 4 with a central focus on Ghostwriter. Before we do, I want to take a moment to double-check the panel's temperature. After all, as we always know, sometimes a TV show can take turns for the better or the worse in our heads, or could continue its level of awesomeness or lack thereof, depending upon its story evolution. As always, it should be noted that all of our panelists have viewed the entire show to date and will, let's face it, discuss sensitive plot points. So for those of you who are not caught up on S.H.I.E.L.D., listen at your own risk, as there may be major spoilers. Welcome back, Kristen and Jen. How are you both today? Good. Are you ready to talk about Ghostwriter?
Yes.
All right. Well, like I said, we're going to take your temperature. We've done this a couple of times before. I'm going to read the standard CPU character question, although the character question changes with each show we do, and actually the character question changed again for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because the characters changed again for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Some of these are tweaks, some of them aren't. So, I don't actually remember what you were the last time. You probably do, but I'm going to ask you how you feel about it this time. Are you watching S.H.I.E.L.D. because S.H.I.E.L.D. is your life? You believe the show has purpose, it means something, and the agency is damn good, like Phil Coulson? Do you watch it because you're a dutiful soldier and loyal, especially to Phil Coulson, or maybe the Whedons, like Melinda May? Do you watch it for all the awesome fictional technology, or because your girlfriend watches it, like Leo Fitz? Or do you watch it for all the radical science, real or fake, or because your boyfriend watches it, or because you're trying to eke as much control from the new A Team That Trusts is a Team That Triumphs director in order to stay abreast of his cryptic plans and to steer clear of his mandatory lie detector tests, like Gemma Simmons? Do you watch it because you want to protect those you care about, keep people safe, and shield them from pain you live with every day, and the show gives you tools to do that, like Mac? Do you watch it, but only distractedly so, as you're ultimately only interested in your God complex and in your secret construction of a forbidden android, like Holden Radcliffe? Or do you watch it, but you don't like it because you're inhuman, and therefore have become a pariah, especially since you didn't register under the Sokovia Accords? Also, you have a death wish after a person you love recently died, and you think the rules of the show, that is, are too confining, even though something or someone keeps trying to pull you back in, like Daisy, a.k.a. Quake. Who would like to start?
Hi, I'm Jen.
Hi, Jen.
I think before I was Daisy / Quake.
And Melinda.
Pretty much. And Melinda.
Yeah.
I might have even been a little Phil Coulson, but now I'm pretty much Fitzsimmons.
Because your boyfriend watches it?
Yes! My girlfriend watches it. Kidding, no. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Sure.
No, the technology. We'll get into all of that, but the technology this time around, it's really, I think it's stepped up.
Okay.
And I love those two. Who doesn't, right?
Right.
So,
I love them too. Welcome back, Jen.
thank you.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi, Kylie. Hi, Jen. I think last time, I remember I was Fitzsimmons. That was for sure. And I think I was even a little Melinda May at one point in our previous podcast.
Probably.
Because I really like the Whedons in general, and I'm loyal to the Whedons. This time, I'm going to say I'm still Fitzsimmons. I like the awesome fictional technology and the cool science. But I'm a little bit of Holden Radcliffe because I'm watching it, but I'm not entirely focused on it when I am. I'm usually doing something else at this point. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that holds up the second half. But I was a little distracted watching it this time around.
Fair enough. Welcome back, Kristen.
Thanks.
And as for me, Kylie, I don't really remember. I keep changing my answer. I'm pretty sure of that. As far as this time, I don't know. I do like the fictional technology. I would be more of the Fitz person, I think. Not necessarily the Simmons, based on how I've retooled her answer. But I also think I would be Holden Radcliffe. There were times when I was bored this half of this season, but there are times when I'm not and I'm engaged. I'm not building an android, especially not one that looks like Queen Magdalena from Gallivant, whatever.
That's where she's from.
Yes.
Thank you. I was trying to figure that out. Like, I know I've seen her before.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're no problem. Now she's playing a scary android that he built. I'm not doing that, and I don't have a God complex, as far as I know. But I was very distracted, I agree. I actually wrote that with myself in mind, so it's interesting that more than one person relates to that description.
Okay, I will come clean. I am not going to lie. Actually, it was the only last 3 episodes that I got
Really involved.
Me too. Really in on.
Me too.
Prior to that, I was doing other activities while watching it.
Yeah.
Usually video games.
Oh, that's a lot distracted, Jen.
Yeah.
No, those video games is like Minecraft.
Oh, okay.
It's like, Minecraft kind of thing. You're just building.
Oh, okay.
Need any thought behind it, so I can watch while I do that.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, so she came clean. Everybody's a little bit Holden this time, which is fun because he's played by John Hannah, and I like him.
I like him too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah. So welcome back to the both of you. Let's kind of expound on why we're all partially Holden. What do you think of season 4 so far? What did you like? What didn't you like? Let's start there.
I did not like Daisy.
Yeah, she was whiny.
She's starting I just watched the last 2 episodes, and she's starting to get a little bit better, but I don't know. It's not the actress, it's that character.
It's the character. No, Chloe Bennett's doing a great job.
Yeah, it's just that character. I don't know where they're going with her. I just, like, when she, at this last episode, when she comes out, she's absorbed all of the, earthquake stuff, whatever, energy.
Yeah.
She goes shooting up in the sky, why? Because is that her releasing the energy? Like, I just think
that's how I took it. That she needed to release that force.
But it was kind of like, I don't know, dumb in a way.
Okay.
I just thought, well, maybe that's just one way to show how, is she going to have more power now?
I don't know. I am not enjoying Daisy this half of the season either. I think her death wish thing. Here's my biggest problem. So I'll just start in the rant, because I did not love this half of the season. This has really been the first time, other than the first half of the first season, that I felt a little bit impatient with this show.
Thank you.
I feel like the character of Daisy has regressed instead of progressed. Now you can take a couple of steps back and you can her big thing was that she's broken up over Lincoln. That's fine. I get that. But need we remind the writers and the listener and the audience that at the end of season 3, they jump forward 6 months, which they did not set up or explain or flesh out at all when they jumped right into this Ghost Rider arc, which is a problem all by itself. And then she is clearly on this self-destructive thing. Okay, fine. Purposeless. I guess she's cleaning up the main streets of LA. But then it just went on, and it went on, and it went on, almost to the point of stubbornness. Like, why are you being so stubborn right now? Where is this coming from? And even by the end of the half season, they never resolved that. They never gave her a full explanation as to why she was so entrenched for so long. I get that she's grieving. And then how much time has passed, It felt like it was a broken record. It just kept going and kept going.
Is that the whole reason why she left, was Lincoln's death?
That's how they kind of sort of...
Because I was kind of confused.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it might be that, but I wasn't for sure why she was gone, and then why for so long, like you're saying. And
she passed it off as, S.H.I.E.L.D. was too confining, and, there were things that I wanted to do, and I just needed to get away. But then later on, Melinda actually calls her out, May, and says, look, we all know you're hurting over Lincoln, but this is ridiculous. Which I'm glad she said that.
Somebody needed to.
Yeah, and of course it's going to be her.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like, okay, good for the wake-up call. It still took her a minute to wake up. I was very, very annoyed with her by the end of this half season. Even though she was rejoining S.H.I.E.L.D., spoiler, and seems to be back under Phil's protective eye, I just feel like I got really upset with her, just in terms of having to watch it. That's how I felt.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely think they took Daisy back a couple of steps this first part of the season. I was not interested in her story. I didn't see the need for the 6-month time jump either. I felt that was totally unnecessary. Unless they just didn't want to go through the process of reassigning the director. Like, if that was... They're like, we want to get a new guy in place, so easy fix is jump ahead 6 months. I don't know. I didn't like that either, but I don't see how it added to Daisy's storyline. I don't see how taking her back to try to propel her forward is working. I don't think it worked at all. I don't know. Just, again, Chloe Bennet did nothing wrong. She did well with what she was given. She always does. And, I don't know, I'm ready for them to push her in a good way, like to push the character, to have her make a bolder choice, to get a new power, because I don't know what her powers are, what they will turn out to be.
And were they hinting at that, kind of? Because when her and Coulson are talking, and they're talking about the face of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he said thought it would be her that'd be the next face of the S.H.I.E.L.D., and she, only in the comics. I thought that was a funny dig at the comics, but is he hinting that she's going to be more up, like they're going to make her more up in the ranks of S.H.I.E.L.D. and have more control and power in S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I don't know. Presumably.
Like, if something happens... What is that guy? That is the...
Jeffrey Mace?
Yeah, he's the head of the
Jason O'Mara?
The director or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something happens to him in this coming season.
I don't know. Maybe that is the plan, or maybe Coulson was just being paternalistic with her.
It could be.
Like, she's, again, his surrogate child. And
he thinks more of her than what she thinks.
Right.
He thinks of
and
her.
S.H.I.E.L.D. is his legacy to pass on down to somebody like her. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's where they're driving, and I don't know if I care even if it is.
They need to do something different with her, make her stronger, give her another power. I mean, they did say she can sense the earthquakes now, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah, she can sense the seismic activity coming.
So, I mean, they're going to do something with that. I don't know. They could do a lot with her.
I just think they need to give her a purpose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think aligning with the Ghost Rider this time was the right call. So we should talk about the Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider is highly controversial because, and I'm only speaking from people who have talked with me about it, like for example, Kyle, shout out to you, Kyle, we miss you. He doesn't like this show. He's, of course, on all of our other comic book panels, but he won't do this one. Ghost Rider is it's popular, I would say. There's a lot of Marvel fans that like the Ghost Rider comic. He hasn't been given a very good live-action treatment. The movies, of course, starred Nicolas Cage, controversially, as that character, and apparently he didn't do well. I don't know. I've never read a single lick of this. I don't really know the story. This is one that I have never really been exposed to. So we have a version of the Ghost Rider on S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't remember the name of the actor's name, but the character's name is Robbie Reyes, and he plays Ghost Rider. And the way they depict it is that he is, the older brother of a younger brother named Gabe, and he's also involved in souping up cars and racing them on the streets of LA. And they actually become the victim of a gang hit. And it's directed at their uncle, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But in the process, they get into a car accident. The car flips. They were shot, and Gabe is also paralyzed from this accident. He ends up in a wheelchair. And then Robbie is visited by whomever the Ghost Rider was before. Now, that Ghost Rider comes in on a motorcycle. But this Ghost Rider doesn't. Robbie, as the Ghost Rider, doesn't do a motorcycle. He has a 69 Dodge Charger, I think it is, that, heals itself and lights on fire, like the vehicle. But this is very controversial because it's not a motorcycle, you see. So he gets the Ghost Rider, or whoever informs the Ghost Rider, if it's the devil or a demon, I don't even know for sure, becomes a part of him, and then he is on the vengeance quest for that demon, which ends up being against his uncle. What did we think about this Ghost Rider and their depiction of it?
Like you, I know nothing. I watched the movie with Nicolas Cage, and that's my extent.
Okay.
So I really didn't know anything. So it took me a little while to warm up to him. I mean, and again, that's not the actor. I think he's great. But in the end, he got to, okay, I'm kind of sold on this, and now he's wherever he went.
Yeah, he got sucked into a quantum box of some sort.
But
parallel dimension, I guess.
Or is he just in the box?
Well, maybe the box is in the parallel dimension.
I definitely think I started to like him a little bit more once I learned the story. But how many episodes were there prior to actually learning and how he became the Ghost Rider? And you know what I mean? We still don't know, where's the Ghost Rider come from? Is he a devil? Is he a demon? I want to know. I mean, maybe they will explain that in the next season, but he's alright. I mean, he's alright.
That was a shrug.
The special effects are great.
Yeah,
when he put his face to the skull, that's freaking amazing.
They really amped up their special effects budget for this season.
Yeah, the visual effects were awesome. The transformation was astounding, actually.
Yeah, the first time they did it, when they really made a big thing of it, was perfect. Like when you really got to see the detail of like the skin flying off and revealing the skull. And no, it was great. Like Jen, and Kylie, I don't have any experience with Ghost Rider. I never saw the Nicolas Cage movies. I just remember seeing the advertisements for it. So I kind of knew, okay, so it's a guy whose face is on fire and so does a motorcycle. That's pretty much all I had. I didn't even realize he was a Marvel superhero.
I mean,
this was before I started liking all the comic book stuff. So this was really my first introduction to the character. And I mean, I didn't realize there was a lot of controversy around it not being a motorcycle. I thought the car was cool. That was cool. I'm like, that's pretty sweet. And so it wasn't until, we were getting ready for this panel that I'm like, oh, that's right. The original Ghost Rider. Oh, he rode a motorcycle, light bulb. Okay, get it. But I like it that they're not taking him straight from the comic books. I like that they kind of alluded to the fact that Ghost Rider it's this own entity, whether it's inhuman or a demon or whatever, and it goes from person to person who needs help. Because at one point, Mac got the Ghost Rider.
He rode a motorcycle.
Yeah, he rode a motorcycle.
Yeah. So that was kind of neat to see it switch to Mac for a little bit and see how he handled it, since it kind of manifests off of the person's anger.
How differently it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad it didn't stay. I mean,
Me
I
too.
thought it was cool
Me too.
for a minute.
Yeah. I'm glad it didn't go any further.
That's Mac, and I love Mac. I don't want him to be
right.
like
He's
that.
good as is. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
But I liked that, because Robbie, he's so hell-bent, pun not intended, on revenge. And he wants to get revenge against the people who did this to his brother and get revenge on his uncle. And I don't know, it worked for that, but now that that's happened and his storyline is wrapped up, are we going to see him come back, or have they just shuffled him off to wherever he is and they're just going to leave him there?
That's a wonderful question. I have no answers.
I know.
and maybe that's why they did it, because that lets them have that decision. We could either get rid of him now,
or
because
we can come back
fans aren't liking it, or we can bring him back because maybe the ratings went up. I doubt it, but
yeah, I don't think S.H.I.E.L.D. is doing too good.
I think the ratings went down.
Yeah. I think bringing in Ghost Rider was an attempt to get their ratings to increase. I think they've been on a steady but gradual decline.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah, I think they're on the bubble, and I don't think Ghost Rider helped. It might have been a bid to do that, but I actually think it countered their purposes a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Ghost Rider it's almost like a cult following within
it
this
needs its
comic.
own show.
It needs its own show.
Yeah.
And not be part of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is so tied to the Avengers. It just feels disjointed.
That's what they need to do, is bring the Avengers. I know.
How are they going to do that?
I know.
There's some really big stars now.
I know.
And they've only gotten bigger since they've become
Yeah.
Avengers. P.S. I am officially caught up on this universe now.
I have watched them all as well.
Yes.
So you've seen
I have
Civil
seen
War
them.
and Ant-Man and...
Yep,
I
all
love
of
Civil
them.
War.
In order. I did it.
Nice. Good for you.
So I'm not just speaking out of turn, listener, but remember, DC, okay? I'm just telling you.
Right there.
I'm just saying. I was never exposed to it. I started off DC. So what do we think about Jeffrey Mace? So what we find out is this Jason O'Mara character, Jeffrey Mace, is installed as director. We never find out why. He's very team-oriented, and he's got these colors for the security levels that confuse everybody, and yet he's also implemented mandatory lie detector tests for his inner circle and all this other nonsense. One of the big spoiler twists of it all, though, is that he reveals himself to be inhuman. Just in time for him to debate with a senator whose name is Nadir. I don't remember her. I think it's Ellen Nadir, who I think is implied heavily is kind of funding the Watchdogs, which is the anti-Inhumans, anti-superpowers group.
The vigilante force.
Yeah. And then we find out that Coulson actually installed Mace as director of S.H.I.E.L.D. because he knew he was in hot water after everything that had happened last season with Hive, that he thought somebody else who was a little bit more politician-friendly and PR-friendly would be better, but also be inhuman because he would protect their interests. What do you think about that character? Because he was omnipresent.
I think he has ulterior motives. I think he has something else in the works, and it's not good. I get that sense from him that he's...
Do you think they're setting him up to be the big bad of the second half?
Yeah. Or at least part of it, or he brings about it.
Or a red herring for it, or...
something. I don't know. I don't like him.
You don't like him?
I like the actor again.
Yeah.
If they can make me feel this way, they're doing their job. They are a great actor.
So you don't trust him?
I don't trust him.
Melinda May doesn't trust him either.
And she's smart. See, I'm psyched.
Simmons doesn't trust him either.
Yeah.
No.
No one really does.
No one does.
So, I don't know. I don't trust him either. I like Jim. I'm not sure. I can't put my finger on it, but there's just something about him that is leading to a bigger purpose. He was too polished, and he's too Clark Kent, Superman kind of guy. He's very all-American, PR-friendly, perfect politician. Something's going on. No one can be that perfect and not have a secret. And whether his secret is just the fact that he's an Inhuman.
I want to know where Coulson found him.
Yeah.
And
never say
why
that.
him and not somebody
else. He just kind
else.
of appeared, didn't he?
Yeah,
he was just there as the
Yeah.
director. There was no backstory.
There wasn't.
Well, they hinted at, now he's supposed to have saved lives in some sort of UN peacekeeping mission or something, and then Simmons drops a bombshell to get herself out of the lie detector test, something to the effect of, I know what really went on at that time, and are you really a hero kind of a thing.
So maybe that's what we'll get into.
That could be the cause of your seed of...
Well, that and the Inhuman, that he had Gemma go...
Oh, and try to help.
Which he did through that sort of handshake deal with Nadir.
Yeah. So, I mean, why does he have this Inhuman? Like, why is he a part of that?
Yeah.
Like,
and what's so special about this particular...
He's rescuing, maybe,
Inhuman.
but...
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think there's a rescue. I think
it's to cultivate evil from this, like telling this Inhuman, you're new, trust me, this is what's going to happen. You know what I mean? I could just see him making it like an army, kind of Inhumans. I don't know.
But it also implied that Nadir was heavily... Because, remember, she was going to go public with the fact that S.H.I.E.L.D. infiltrated that prison. And so in exchange, he agreed to supply Simmons to basically help this terror... It's somebody who's undergoing pterogenesis, had been exposed to the crystal dust or whatever, or the fish oil, or however they were doing it. And then before she could really finish that process, as this person was emerging from the cocoon, or whatever you want to call it, she was dragged away. And she had been blindfolded in and out, like kidnapped.
Yeah.
But Nadir was really the one behind that. So the question is, why does she have the Inhuman? Because she's anti-Inhuman.
Maybe she's the one who's trying to make an army or
but he had say-so on pulling her out of there. When he said, I want her back, I want Gemma back. Like, if he is a part of that, I think.
Like he's complicit in it for more than just, I'm trying to save S.H.I.E.L.D.? Okay.
Could be the start of another hive.
Or maybe one of them is ahead of Hydra.
Hydra, that's the word.
Because
Hydra
cannot be dead.
They have been gone for so long, so maybe it is. Maybe she is this, what's her face?
Well, and I just don't think they can really be dead. Like we talked about the last time, they're such a major component.
And before they left the scene, how many times did different characters say, cut off one head and another one will grow back or whatever?
This is what I'm saying.
So maybe that just like dropping the seeds
in there
that they're coming back. Come on, it's Hydra. So
but it's also, that's what the name implies too. That's the Greek mythology. So of course they're never dead.
Exactly,
So maybe Nadir is really Hydra.
Nadir is really Hydra.
We might be on to something. So the major plot arc, so all of these different pieces of plot wrapped up into one major plot arc. We had Daisy on her self-destructive streak. We had Ghost Rider, who was trying to, essentially, his vengeance was against all the gangs because the gang hit caused his brother to be disabled. And then we also had S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of rebounding from last season under this new director and all of the individual agents trying to adjust. And then of course you had your little side plots like Fitzsimmons are together, they're buying a living space together, it's all very cute. And you also had Holden Radcliffe building the android, which we'll get to in a minute. But the biggest piece or the biggest storyline or what this all culminates into is this idea of the Darkhold. It's this book essentially that, I don't know who made it. That's a #1 question. Who the hell made this book? But it's a book with advanced science that basically allows people, I guess, or whoever reads the book kind of can project itself into your brain in whatever language you want. And it has all this advanced science that allows people to cross the interdimensional divide, if you will. You can get to parallel dimensions. And sometimes, like in the case of some scientists, they get trapped between the dimensions and they look like ghosts. So we figure out that Ghost Rider can somehow affect them. They never explain that.
No.
How he's able to grab hold of them. Then you also have, so Robbie and Gabe's uncle Eli is part of the scientist team that discovers the book. And we find out his purpose was really to allow himself to have a power, like the Inhumans or like the aliens or the Avengers or whomever. But in order to have this power, he steals it from other dimensions and basically throws everything out of whack. And his power is to manipulate matter in this dimension. What did you think about this whole piece of the story and how it was executed in the end?
It was a little messy. I feel like they had too many things going on. They had too many pots on the stove, and nothing really turned out as strong as it could have. I think they were too distracting. It would have been nice to see them pare things down a little bit and not have 4 storylines running at the same time.
5 if you count the android.
Thank you, 5. I could see where they were trying to go with it. I don't think they executed it very well.
I think some of it is kind of cool. Like the idea of being able to open, a gate to other dimensions, and, that's always been fascinating to me, as other dimensions and how close they are to our own and all of that. But yeah, like you said, it's kind of messy, and then with him, it's just not believable to me for him drawing enter from other dimensions and it's unbalanced. I mean, it's weak to me, that storyline. And then the android, so she reads the book, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So
her name is Ada, by the way.
Yeah, Ada. She won't be affected when she reads it like a human would. It basically would make you go crazy or kill dead or whatever. But with her, she read it, but she was affected by it. So if she's an android and she can't be affected by those kinds of things, why is she basically insane now or evil and creating Melinda May? So
yeah, so
sorry, I led right into that one.
Yeah, you did.
That was upsetting for me.
So what Jen is alluding to is spoiler. So, well, first let me set this up a couple things. In one of the episodes, Coulson, Fitz, and Robbie the Ghost Rider, end up across the dimensional drift, and they're stuck there. And it has to do with the fact that the quantum box that Eli was making, it doesn't hold right away, and they get pushed into this other dimension. And so in order to save them, Holden gets the big idea that Ada, and it's sort of helped by Fitz from the other side. They all get the idea that Ada can read the book because she's not human, she's an android. And so she successfully does, however that happens, and is able to create some sort of magical arch or portal that allows them to come back through. Well, this knowledge, apparently, there's a scene, and it's never explained, but there's a scene where you see her kind of doing the same thing with the virtual model of a human brain. Or maybe it's her brain. I don't know. It's not explained. And by the end of the season, spoiler, she's taken a shine to May. This we know, because May believed that she was real. And I think ultimately, maybe in her own way, she sees May as a friend. Well, somehow she's created a double of May. Now, whether May is another android, or May is some sort of split consciousness, or a dimensional double, or we don't know what she is. But there's a May in with the happily reunited Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Daisy included, drinking aged scotch with Coulson, and then there's a May in Ada's storage closet.
It's bloody.
Mm-hmm. She's unconscious.
Yeah. She's got blood coming down her her neck and stuff. So I think that's the real May. I think the one
she
obviously
specifically said, I'm sorry about this Agent May, or she referred to her as Agent May. She didn't refer to her as a different name. So I'm likely to assume that the one in the storage closet is the real May that we know and love. Yeah. That's what they kind of alluded to, too.
What is the point of all that? I guess it's showing that this Ada has turned evil, or is evil. So again, has been affected by this book, but they said that she wouldn't be because she's a droid.
Well, here's the thing. Is she evil, or is she just like artificial intelligence that's grown, kind of like in the Matrix? God complex artificial intelligence.
Could be.
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because we don't know the circumstances under which fake May came about. Mm-hmm. We don't know if Ada's caring for the real May because she got injured in a fight. We don't know if she created the double for a good reason or for a bad reason.
And does Holden know about it?
Exactly, we don't know.
Maybe he put her up to it.
Or maybe Holden created it, and maybe Ada's just taking care of the real May.
Yeah.
I don't think Holden created it.
I
don't think he knows that. I think Ada is beyond her original programming, and he doesn't know about it.
I tend to agree with you. I think that book changed her.
Mm-hmm. But what is the book, and where does the book from?
Aliens. I'm telling you. I think it's alien. It has to do with going back to that planet.
Is it the Kree again?
Could be, or
that
could
planet
be maybe
that they never explained even now.
Yeah.
What is that planet? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's disappointing.
I won't let it go. If you end this show before answering that question, I will forever not like you.
Because on the front of the book, it was like, it could be like alien kind of writing.
Yeah.
That was on the front of it.
It almost looked like that text that they had, that the Hydra people had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's an alien thing. I don't know what else it would be, other than like maybe evil, like devil, like Satan or something, Satanistic like that.
But that's not really their territory.
No, it isn't. That's why I'm thinking.
Except for the Ghost Riders, all
But we don't know.
That's true.
We don't know. It could be an alien force.
Yeah. It could be. Maybe the Ghost Rider's an alien. That would make everybody mad.
When all else fails, it's the aliens.
Aliens.
I don't know.
They need to call Captain America.
I was liking, Ada and everything. I don't know. That whole creating other body doubles or whatever, I don't know.
It seems like yet a kind of a weak direction to go after, and we keep using the term weak, but I think that's because they ended the Hive arc with such a strong end note, and we were all concerned that this might be the case, and I think it has come to pass. I think they're kind of in a starting over, like where do we go from here, what do we do from here? The evolution has been a little bit rocky. They're a 4th season show. It's not like completely aged, but it's definitely not a new show anymore. So what do? And I get the sense that there's a little spaghetti on the wall action going. It just seems like, we have all these great ideas and we don't know how to flesh out any one of them individually over the course of however many episodes, so let's put them all in and see what happens. That's how I feel. I've stunned them into silence.
I agree with that.
Well, it just seems like it's almost a pattern with ABC shows. I've said this on Once Upon a Time's podcast before, where I feel like they have some really great potential to do some really great things, and they try to set it up, but then it just fails, or they don't take advantage of it, or they don't push it hard enough. I feel like they're just kind of lacking right now. I think ABC in general, a lot of their shows are kind of lacking.
Need better writers.
Somebody else earlier used the term quantity over quality, and I feel like that's operating on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a little bit. Like, we're going to put all these different ideas together, but they don't necessarily fit together. Maybe they do in a weird way, but they never, none of them are very impactful individually when they're mixed together the way they are. Like, it's almost like they should be spending more time fleshing out 1 or 2 of these things and not 5 of them, for example. It's only been 8 episodes, and so much has happened in those 8 episodes, and yet I feel like nothing's happened at all.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree.
So I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I think you're on the bubble, and that's sad. I do think that's sad. And we still don't have How was the Ghost Rider able to touch those people, yet he couldn't come back through the dimensions all by himself? It's my number one question. What are his powers? And if they weren't really ghosts, then how was he able to touch them? It doesn't make any sense to me. They didn't even spend any time fleshing that out, and that seems like a misstep.
Maybe it's as long as he is basically reaping souls, he has that ability to touch these ghosts, like pull them back. But if it's not pertaining to that, he doesn't. Like, being just stuck in the dimension. he didn't have any powers, it seems like, to get out.
I know, but reaping souls is like taking it out of a living person, right? I don't know. I just feel like they were in a weird hybrid place. And maybe it just comes down to there's no explanation for his powers.
Energy. Let's say energy. Because when you die, energy, you can't kill it, so it's got to go somewhere. Whether that's on another plane, dimension, whatever. Maybe that's what he's able to touch and pull down to wherever. Where does he take them? Is he taking them to hell? Is he a demon of Satan?
They didn't.
I mean,
they really should have fleshed his mythology out.
Yeah.
That's one thing that they missed this year.
Yeah.
It would have been such a great opportunity to really flesh out this character, especially for people like the three of us who don't have previous exposure to this character. Tell us about him. Give us, what are his limitations? What are, fill in the blanks, for goodness sake.
They should just make a Ghost Rider TV show.
But do it on Netflix.
Probably. They can cast this guy. I like him.
He was really good.
Great.
I'm sure he was better than Nicolas Cage because,
anybody's better than Nicolas Cage.
Sorry, Nicolas Cage, if you're listening. Not fans.
Either.
You've alienated a lot of people because you're kind of weird. I'm just going to say it.
It's his voice. I can't sneak his voice.
He's related to the Coppolas,
I don't care what he's related to.
Hey, guy who played Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you're doing good. Doing well.
We like you.
We like
come
you.
Back.
But I don't know if I want him to come back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No, just come back in general. We'd like to see you on something else where they can take more advantage of your talent.
So I want to come back to a point that I was talking about with some people as well. And we talked about this on the last podcast. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is one of those shows, so you notice, listener, that there's only 3 on this panel. And every time I don't have a full panel and we're getting ready to record, I always solicit for, because we go to up to 6 or 7, depending upon what the show is. And I can't get anybody interested in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
There's a reason.
Never! And for a long time, what we heard, especially, one of our other comic book friends on CPU will say, I tried and I couldn't. I couldn't get through it. And we always said, push through, it gets better. Which it does. Seasons 2 and 3 are definitely good.
Yes, they are.
But now I don't feel like I can say that anymore.
It's down.
It's down. Like, why would I tell them to watch?
The last few episodes were great and were kind of more on the upswing, but when you look at the whole picture, it's just down. It's just...
Yeah, and I don't even feel that strongly about those episodes. I mean, they were more engaging than the ones that came before, but they
more
weren't.
Action, I think, is what appealed to me. There was more action happening.
Okay. Overall, like you said, I mean, it's just a small blip in a largely anticlimactic half season. So we should talk about the cliffhanger. We kind of already hinted at the double piece. I mean, what do you think about? What do you think the May in Storage or the May in with Ada really is? Is she an android? Is she some sort of dimensional double?
The one with Ada is the real May.
Or that too.
Yeah, the one that we have to worry about is the one that was shown with the rest of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the end. And we also need to start wondering, okay, but when was the switch made? Was it, has May, the real May, always been in Holden's facility? Because she was brought there to get the ghost out of her head.
That's right, because she was exposed to the weird dimensional ghost things.
Yeah. So she was brought to Holden.
Which apparently affect people and make them go insane. And yet, there were some people who were touched by it who didn't have that problem.
Yeah, but wasn't that all before she learned the book and all of that?
Perhaps.
That was before, but did May ever leave Holden's facility, or did they send out a double at that point?
Yeah.
Has it been that long? Because when would they have logically made a switch?
That's a good question.
I don't know. It's this, especially the last episode did a lot of playing. Okay, this is what happened with this group of people. Now this is what happened with those that are in this dimension. Like they want kind of, you know what I mean? They did a lot of that. So maybe who's to say something like happened that we can see? Like maybe she is in another dimension or something. I don't know. But when did that switch you have? I don't know.
It's a good question because she was getting better. Like they let her heart stop so that she could reboot, essentially. She was getting better before Ada read the book.
But before Ada read the book was that May who was getting better. Was that an android learning to acclimate to her environment, or was that the real May?
But at that point, who would have created that android? Because Ada hadn't learned the technology.
Holden?
But why would he do that?
I don't know. I'm just offering.
I think Ada created May.
I think Ada created May too.
Yeah.
That's why I mean, but the switch is like, it's really wonky. But you know what they'll do in the next season is they'll kind of do that, going back. Well, this happened during when this happened, or you know what I mean, like
they'll answer the question that they've set up. If they don't,
I'm gonna be mad because
that's assuming May. That's assuming this double May is an android. I mean, it's probably the safest assumption. And how similar was? Let's say May is an android that Ada created. How similar now are we talking to Ultron? Because remember, they kept bringing that up, that was forbidden science, that Holden couldn't do that, especially because of Ultron. And it seems like that happened the very same way that Tony Stark made Ultron. So, now that I've watched that, and know.
Yeah, Ultron and Vision would kind of fall under that too.
That's true. I don't know, I feel like Vision's kind of an accident, though.
Vision was created to make sure that another Ultron couldn't be created. He was the thwarted attempt at a second Ultron.
Well, either way.
Either way.
I know a lot of people like Vision. I don't know. It just seems like if that's what's happening, now granted, the Age of Ultron's not an extremely popular chapter in the MCU, so maybe they're trying to give it a second try and see if they can make something out of it. Although it won't be James Spader. So I don't know. I'm just very like lukewarm. I'm lukewarm to all the stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not to the shark jumping moment yet. Like I still want to watch the show, but I'm literally left like WTF ? What's going on?
I think that's where we all are. That's where I'm at. I'm like, I'm so confused. They're not explaining everything. And I get the point of setting up cliffhangers and making us wanting more, but when you give us that more, you have to explain the more. You can't just give us an answer and run away.
That's just it, though. But it didn't even actually make me want more. It just made me frustrated.
Yeah.
Like, here's 7 unanswered questions over here. Why are you creating more?
Right.
What's the alien planet? They'll never answer that question. They've forgotten about the alien planet. Jen, last time you wished for something new and exciting to happen. Did any of the things in this half season live up to new and exciting for you?
Not really.
Oh.
I mean,
there's your gauge, people. There's your gauge.
As far as the technology, because like when Ada was doing all that, I'm miming what she was doing on the TV.
Yeah. That's true. She is.
She put on those gloves and she was moving. I think she was building the gate, but like I think she was messing with planes, dimensional planes or whatever.
Yeah, probably.
I think is what she was doing, but just that was cool. That idea was cool, and of course, the special effects.
The special effects across the board were great.
So that was pretty cool. But like Daisy was a letdown. I mean, Ghost Rider was all right for a minute. I mean,
I wouldn't say he was a letdown, but he
wasn't
like
a letdown. But
great.
It wasn't great.
I didn't get excited by him.
Yeah, no, I'm still waiting to have. Now I just want questions answered, like you're saying. Yeah. All these questions, like they better answer them in the first beginning episodes, because otherwise I don't know if I can stay on this.
You say that every time.
But that just shows how long we've been on the precipice of giving it up. It just, and a lot of people have. I mean, it's one of those shows that they're like, oh, it's on the bubble, or I've stopped watching it. I'm not going to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I said this last time, but I'm kind of getting to that point too. It's just, it's getting messy and muddled, and I don't feel like Marvel as a whole entity is really valuing what they have here. They've spent so much time on their cinematic universe. They've got the Netflix shows that are just...
Oh, they're awesome.
Way better. Leaps and bounds better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's what they need, to take S.H.I.E.L.D. to Netflix.
Quandary question.
Maybe get better.
Which show is better? And that might be more of a Kristen question. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Luke Cage?
Oh.
I haven't even watched Luke Cage yet.
This was not a very well-loved chapter on the Defenders
panel. I didn't really care for him and Jessica Jones.
See, I love him on Jessica Jones. I love the character. I love Mike Coulter.
Yeah, I like the actor.
The show around him was kind of a mess.
But this is really hard because
It's a Sophie's Choice question.
It is, and it's for two different audiences, really, because they're on it. Netflix is kind of for everybody, but this one's on at a certain time of day, so they can only do so much with it being in a certain time slot. Netflix kind of has free reign. I don't know, because Luke Cage got better.
It did get better
at the end. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been consistently
going down.
It's been going down. So as I'm going to say, Luke Cage is a little bit better.
Wow!
Only because there's hope for Luke Cage to get better in season 2.
There is hope.
And that's a very strong thing, is hope. You got to leave them with hope. And I was left with hope that season 2 of Luke Cage is going to be better than season 1. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't have that same feeling. I don't know. I feel like Marvel isn't really caring about this show. They haven't brought them in with other crossovers. Besides, Lady Sif came for that one moment.
And what's her name? The Hill.
Maria Hill. Mm-hmm. Well, she was only there for a hot second in the pilot, just to tie it in. But that's the only tie-ins that they've done.
I had a second. I'm like, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
Lady Sif is the biggest. Lady Sif is and Nick Fury. But then he did his... I figured out where I missed his thing, and that was set up in a movie. He's there, but he's not there.
But it's not like they can, unless they're really going to make an effort to tie it in, what's the point?
I still think I like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a little bit better than Luke Cage, but only because I'm much more invested in those characters. I'm not invested in any of the characters on Luke Cage except for Luke himself. I do think you're right. There's more potential for Luke Cage to get better.
Yeah.
I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had the potential and has squandered it so far, at least in this season. I do think there was definitely, they got better, and hit the end of season 3 on a high note. Mm-hmm. But we're definitely at the precipice of, they tied off all these different storylines and needed to start over and did so in a messy way. But I think that I still it took me a really long time to get into Luke Cage.
Oh, me too.
And I was way more bored, and it was way more drudgery to watch that one than it was to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., despite its many flaws right now.
Yeah. I know that if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were to get canceled, I would miss Fitzsimmons. I would miss May.
Fitzsimmons is who I primarily thought.
And I would miss Coulson, because he, I liked his little pop-up cameos in the cinematic universe, and I would really hope that they would bring these strong characters into another fold, whether they mix them in with the Netflix series, or they bring them into the movies in some way. The rumor is everybody and their brother's going to be in Infinity War. I don't know if these characters will make that jump or not, but...
Or even to get any of the Avengers actors to, what do you call that? Cameo, but also, I was going to say slum it. Yeah. To slum it over on TV for a bit. I know Steve Rogers is AWOL after Civil War, but, because they actually said it in the TV show, too. Mm-hmm. But maybe somebody who's, a little bit more out there, They could get, what's her name? The Scarlet Witch. She's still out there.
Or Falcon's out there.
Falcon, somebody who's a little bit minor, or a little less major Avenger, and, well, no, they're launching his movie soon. I was going to say, you could get Tom Holland. I'd like to see more Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I enjoy him.
That's a complicated, tricky deal, though.
I know.
They've got to do some sort of tie-in to keep this relevant.
They have to inject it with some kind of adrenaline shot, and I think that would be it. Otherwise, it's not going to make it.
Yeah.
And I missed Brett Dalton this season.
I did too.
I actually missed Ward, or whatever incarnation of Ward.
Yeah, I didn't know his name's
Ward. Yeah, I
missed
too.
Ward. I missed having that familiar villain. Yeah. Even though I did get a little tired of him. But I missed him. Mm-hmm. He was good.
And I missed Lincoln.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily miss Bobby and Lance.
No.
Felt they were sent off well. And
and hopefully their show was canceled, definitely. I don't think they're going to produce...
No, they canceled it before pilot aired.
Yeah.
As then the network executives watched it and said, never mind.
Yeah. Oops. Mistake.
I miss Ward. Yeah. Did the show pull any cliches or turn you off in any major way? And this is more than just being confused or recognizing that it's going downhill. It's more of it did something to really tick you off or put you off.
I don't know. I don't don't think so.
I don't think so.
Oh, that's something.
I'm trying to think of anyone.
I mean, if I'm being really nitpicky, it's, they cut off Coulson's hand, but now he has a hand that looks like his hand, so you don't even care that he lost a hand and he has a mechanical hand.
Yeah. He's not doing anything with it.
No.
Who cares?
Yeah.
I guess, that's not that's just a plot line. It's not a cliche. I don't know. With the Melinda May thing. That's the only thing that really kind of irritated me.
Because they've already done a double with Melinda May where they had that malfunctioning face mask.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Now
why she always got to be the one to get picked?
Because what else? Because she's the cavalry. She's the fighter.
I know. That's why I like her, is because she doesn't have any superpowers, but she kicks ass, man.
Yeah. So I had just another epiphany. They rehashed Chasing Daisy. Because they did it in season 2, then they did it again in season 4, and they're rehashing May as a double face.
They're redoing plot lines that they did.
They're redoing plot lines. Yeah.
They're running out of ideas.
They are. They're grasping for straws.
Now I'm mad. I am mad now. I don't truck with that. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, they need, like Jen said, they need some new writers. They need some fresh, creative blood. I mean, hey, go look at spec scripts that up-and-coming writers are writing. Maybe they have a good idea and you can bring them on. There's got to be some way to inject some fresh ideas.
Throw some money at one of the movie stars and get them on your show for a minute. Come on. Do something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that I really like about the DCTU shows is that they make even just mini crossovers, or they make it feel like it's all connected, even though they're 4 distinctly separate shows. They connect them every so often, and that helps. I think it strengthens the shows, whether you watch them all together, and that helps you. But if you don't, I don't think you're losing anything by not recognizing. But they need to make connections.
So if Netflix can take over S.H.I.E.L.D., they could make their crossovers.
That's true.
They could with their, with the ones that they've already made.
They could come into the neighborhoods and start hanging in Hell's Kitchen or Harlem.
Jessica Jones. Yeah. And
I mean, I know S.H.I.E.L.D. is mostly out in wherever because they've got the plane. And,
they've got the
the Netflix shows are all based in the greater New York area.
That's true.
But they could
move it.
Team up with Jessica Jones for an episode, or they could. But they got to do something to tie it into the bigger picture. I mean, at least. Even though the Netflix shows are very separate, they make an allusion to the incident, or they talk about the Avengers in some way. They make references.
The Battle for New York.
Yep, this show does too, and they're more directly related to what happens, like with the Sokovia Accords and the reveal of Hydra and Captain America 2 and all that good stuff. But I feel like it's more disconnected.
It is more. It's like the redheaded stepchild of the Marvel Universe right now.
And you wouldn't think that would be the case since it's on a major network that's directly tied into the parent company.
With a character that has appeared in...
Well, and the whole reason this show exists is because everybody loved Phil Coulson so much. They loved Clark Gregg and his little turns, and they're like, oh, there's enough of a fan base for this random third-tier character. Sweet, let's capitalize on it and expand his world. I love Coulson, but I feel like they're doing him a disservice.
Well, they're recycling storylines, and that just bummed me out.
Sorry
so
to give
I'm
you that
on the
revelation.
precipice. Yeah. So I'd be really surprised actually if this show survives to a 5th season.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if it will. I don't think it will because they have a new network programming executive, and she's going in and making some changes for better or for worse. I don't know. It's yet to be seen. But I think this show is going to be one of those on the chopping block because it's going to be in its 5th season. It's getting more expensive to produce. Just as shows go, the older they get, the more expensive they are. I don't know. I don't think that the Marvel name needs to be bolstered by a TV show at this point. Netflix is doing a great job, and Netflix is doing it without ABC's dime. I think we may be saying goodbye to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I was surprised when Grimm got canceled. Not this, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's for a Grimm podcast.
I'm sorry, it's my favorite show.
Other than what we've already talked about, speculated about, predicted, lamented, etc., do you have anything else to say about Season 4A of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Ghost Rider arc?
Give us answers.
Yeah, it better be valid answers.
Valid.
that makes
understandable.
sense.
Be less messy in the second half of season 4, please.
Let's get organized now. And
Yeah, I mean, really stick it to like maybe 3 storylines. Don't go to 4 or 5.
Right.
The good shows can handle 3. That's the sign of strength. Don't do more than that because that's just weak.
Give us more of those 3. Get rid of the others.
Give us Fitzsimmons. Lots of Fitzsimmons. Then I'll be a happy girl.
Make Daisy stronger, more of a presence, reasons in her existence.
Give her a
motivation. Motivation.
Her motivation. Her mission in life.
Yeah.
Her raison d'etre.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's not a hacker anymore. So you need to get... She's been
beyond
without a strong purpose for 2 seasons now? Ish.
Well, to be fair, in season 3, she was under sway.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You can't blame that on her.
That's
Or even the writers. They did set that up.
They did. Okay, fine. So for half a season, she's been really without a purpose. Let's fix that. We want to see strong female characters on TV, not what you've given us with Daisy. May is good and strong.
Yeah.
I like May. Even Simmons. She's doing her thing. Give us back our strong Daisy.
There better be a good reason why you've done this to May.
Yeah, unless just,
she's shaking her fist at the microphone.
And May, the real May, better get out of that storage closet, whatever she's in.
May's she's pretty BA. I don't know if I can say that real word on your podcast.
We just try to avoid that
Oh,
one.
you know what she could do is she could fake that she was really out.
And she's going to take out Ada.
She's going to take out Ada and
get her, and off she goes to save the world.
My only request is that you straighten out the story.
Yeah.
You need to get organized, or you're going to walk yourselves into cancellation. Unless that's what you're trying to do. In which case, why are we watching you? This is my thing. You are kind of the weak spot amongst all the comic book shows. Even if you count Luke Cage as weaker in the Defenders, it still knows what it's trying to be more than you do. And so that's what needs to happen, writers, producers. You need to think about either revving this up in a meaningful way and not leaving your plot threads dangle, because comic book people, they pay attention to that. Or you need to think about axing it and putting it out of its misery and letting Clark Gregg go back to the Avengers movies and stay there. That's how I feel. Are you going to keep watching?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
I feel like if I stop watching now, I'm going to be wondering what happens. So I'm going to have to keep watching.
But I'm going to be really mad if they don't have these questions answered or they're really weak. Then I'll have just wasted all my time and investment in the show.
Right, when there's other shows out there that I could be devoting this hour every week to.
So, but you're going to risk it?
We
Even though you might be disappointed?
I think I have come this far, I probably.
Yeah, at this point you have to be a completionist. If you're 4.5, or if you're 3.5 series in, you have to be a completionist and finish it.
I'm typically a completionist unless I see there's no end in sight and it's just circling the drain. Grey's Anatomy.
Thank you.
That's what that was doing.
That show is...
It's way past
way beyond.
I haven't watched it in a few seasons. I stopped watching when Christina left.
Yep.
She was my favorite. So, yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. We're going to keep watching it. Are you at the point, would you still recommend this show to others? Why or why not?
No, I don't recommend it anymore.
Nope.
I would also not recommend it anymore. I think it's now at the point where you're going to have to come up with an ending, and it has to be a good ending, or it's just going to be one of those shows that fades into memory as having been on the air, or part of the larger Avengers /MCU/ whatever you want to call it. Anything else you want to say about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before we wrap up? All right.
I hear crickets.
I know, me too. Well, with the crickets in the wings, I'd like to thank Kristen and Jen for joining me once again to discuss Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And if you haven't been listening to the podcast, or maybe you will be listening to the podcast, we have a brand new conclusory statement, because I get tips from listening to other podcasts. So, CPU! Was produced by Back Pocket Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, and hails from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play. That means give us some stars. We're angling for 5, please, or comment on YouTube so that we can spread the word more effectively. If you have suggestions on shows we might consider that we're not already covering, Contact us at our website, where you can also subscribe to the blog at couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com. You can send us an email at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com. Or you can contact us via Facebook and Twitter, though we're adding new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. We're always welcome to new suggestions. As always, we have several more new episodes coming down the pike. I've listed several in the introduction, including many of our mid-season check-ins. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is but one of many. We're also available and searchable via the web. We're everywhere, literally. Blogs and audio channels and social media accounts. I list several of them in the intro, but we're easiest to find on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if you want to catch up, you can find the first 3 seasons streamable on Netflix. If you want to catch up on season 4, the most 5 recent episodes are available at either Hulu or on the ABC channel app if you've got like a Roku or a Wii or whatever, or on ABC's website. Until next time at CPU, keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned! Bye!